Atlassian developers. It's so great to see you back on stream. And the first time ever, we have Corey Weathers here with me.
Hey, hey,
Hey,
hey.
Corey. How's
Super
it feel
happy to
to?
be here.
Yeah, yeah. Super happy for you to be here. And you might not know this, Corey, but this is actually the first time that we have ever streamed in an American and European time zone.
Wait, say what? That's cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We've always done our streams late night US, early morning Australia time. So really, really excited to have you here because now we can start saying hello more to our US audiences and they don't have to rush home early from work to catch us.
Well, and welcome to all of our amazing folks joining from around the world. I see the chat is already getting excited
Oh,
with folks dropping their highs in there. So welcome, welcome.
hello to the chat. So, oh, awesome. We have actually China's in the house.
Nice.
Hello. What time is it in China? I would love for you to tell us what time it is in China, just for fun. Uh, Hello there. Hello, Sean. Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Maymet. Hello. Thanks for joining us. It would just be fun for everyone actually around in the chat to type in where you're tuning in from. I'm really, really interested to know where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in from Dallas, Texas. And Corey, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So on the East Coast time zone, where it's super gray, super cold, but we're bringing the warmth inside the house so we could light this thing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And where you can grab a good cheesesteak.
That part too.
If you don't know, now you know. You can grab a great cheesesteak when in Philly. Well, I am super excited today. We have some special guests with us on stream. Titan Apps. Titan Apps. And Titan Apps has recently done their migration from Connect to Forge. So really, really excited to have them. What do you think, Corey? Should we bring them out on stream?
I love this idea, and I'm just gonna go on ahead and just welcome
Yeah.
Alexandra and Andre to the stream. Welcome.
Hey,
Oh,
Andre. Hey, Alexandra. How are you?
good, good. As you can
Awesome.
see, this is the end day for us. So
The
yeah,
end of day. Oh yeah. Yeah, I see it's dark. I see it's dark over there. Do you both want to just give a quick introduction of yourselves onto
sure,
everyone? Yeah.
sure. My name is Alexandra. I'm a product manager at Titan Apps. I've been in Atlassian ecosystem for 2 years, so it's not that many, but it's but I've already gone through the migration from Connect to Forge, so I can say that I'm a bit of experienced here. So yeah, really happy to join you here, guys. Thank you for inviting us, and can't wait to share our story.
Same.
My name is Andrei. I am engineer at Railsware. I'm working here around 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
Railsware is our parent company, so the Titan Apps is a part of the Railsware biggest software company. But yeah, it was pretty cool actually to having the engineer from the bigger company because we could involve the most experienced engineers around the organization to this specific challenge. So it was fun.
Awesome.
That's really
Awesome.
cool.
And where are you both located? Just for fun.
In Ukraine.
Both of you are
Ukraine.
in Ukraine. And actually, we
Yes.
have someone tuning in from Ukraine here
Oh,
on stream. Hello
cool.
Yeah.
to
Wait,
Ukraine.
I have to ask really quickly. What time is it in Ukraine right now?
It's 5 p.m.
Oh my
Not too
goodness.
late. Not
It's
too
not too.
late. Not too late.
Yeah,
We
not too
oh
late, but it's already dark out there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The winter is coming, as they would say on Game of Thrones. Um, Welcome also Munich, Germany. Hello, hello. Welcome Atlanta, Georgia, ATL. Hello, JB Fletcher. Some more Germany tuning in. Welcome everyone. All right. Thanks so much. Oh, and one more I have to say. South Africa, Johannesburg. I think you win the award for the farthest away from us.
I think so.
thank, thank you so much for tuning in. And now I'm just gonna pass it right on over to Corey to get us started.
Yeah, let me just say I'm super excited to have this conversation today with Alexandra and Andre. They're bringing an amazing story of lessons learned in their migration journey as we've moved from Connect to Forge. And so they're going to share a bit. We're going to absolutely have this as a live conversation. If you folks are watching in chat, don't hesitate to drop your questions. If we see them, we'll bring them either live onto the stream or make sure we answer them in chat. And Alexandra, I think the floor is yours.
Awesome. Then I'll try to share my screen. Awesome. Can you see?
I think we can.
Yes, we can.
That's great. Let me do this thing. Yes, and let's kick it off. So yeah, we're actually really happy to share our story about migrating our flagship app, Smart Checklist, from Connect to Forge. Our lesson learned, the risks that we took, challenges that we had, approaches that we decided to follow. So yeah, let's just kick it off. A few words about who we are. So we are the Titan Apps. We are Atlassian Marketplace partner. We migrated our flagship app and all of the other apps that we have on the marketplace from Connect to Forge. We've been on the marketplace since 2017. So that was the time that we released this app. And yes, it was pretty exciting and challenging for us actually to migrate the app, because over the years, we grew the audience for over 1.3 million users. So we had like challenges how to migrate all of the data, how to save the feature parity. But yeah, this is what we did. And a few words also about the app itself. So you have more context what we were dealing with when we were migrating, because at first glance the checklist seems to be a pretty simple tool. So it's just the list of the checkboxes on the issue view. But over the years, like we developed a lot of features that our customers requested, and we are integrated in different parts of Jira. So yes, the core feature is actually working with a checklist to break down your tasks on the issue view. But other than that, we have the checklist templates to save your recurring work within the checklist templates, as for example, for the definition of done. We also have our app settings, so users can enable or disable the checklist for project, configure their own statuses, permissions. We're also integrated within the automation for Jira to make sure that you can import those checklists automatically to the issue view. We're also integrated within the workflows, for example, that to block the issue transition if the checklist is not completed. We're integrated within the JQL, within the issue history. So it's a lot of work for us was to do this migration. Yeah, but I'm just sharing this context because this is not really about the checklist on the issue view. Yes. So a couple of words why we decided to migrate. And I'll be honest here that actually to migrate to Forge, it was more valuable for the customers that wasn't our customers. Actually, it was just potential customers for us, because back then when we were on Connect, we've got a lot of those security questionnaires, like with over 100 questions, customers asking about a lot of things to checking out that our software is compliant with their security standards. We didn't have the data residency, which was a bit of the deal breaker for some of the customers. So the question to migrate to Forge was actually for us the opportunity to be more compliant, to bring this visibility that we are complying, to not do any data egress, to get the runs on Atlassian page. And it's super transparent on the marketplace. So if you search for the apps, and you can see you can see right away that this app is runs on Atlassian, it's totally hosted on the Atlassian infrastructure. So it was like a big opportunity for us, which we decided to take. And also the Forge is a future, because Atlassian still plans to deprecate the Connect. So despite the fact that nobody loves changes, we decided to migrate to Forge, and not to start with our simplest apps, for example, with the smaller user base, but we decided to migrate the app which is the most valuable for our customers, because a lot of customers didn't want to install our app because we didn't have this compliance.
Hey, Alexandra, there was a question that came up as well here in chat, and I'm going to paraphrase it. Let me see if I can do this really quickly, which was all the features, JQL, issue transitions, etc., were they already available in Connect?
Sure.
And so for the features for the different apps that you would already build, I'm assuming, yes, they were available in Connect, but then part of this was also figuring out how to migrate over to Forge. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, sure. So all of those integrations that I've just showed, like automation for Jira JQL workflows, those features were on Connect. So we had like this challenge because we wanted to gain the feature parity so customers do not lose any of the feature. We see that this is actually really a hot topic to a lot of marketplace vendors right now, that they want to save the feature parity and prevent like the churn of the customers. So yeah, I'm here with you on the same page because we had the same challenges.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Feel free to keep going.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'm going to pass the mic to Andrew and move a bit more to technical questions of how we organized the data in Forge and how it was different from Connect. So yes, Andrew, the stage is yours.
Yep. The main challenge was that we already used SQL database on Connect, but on Forge we couldn't proceed with that because Forge SQL was announced at that time, but we was sure that it wouldn't be delivered in time for global availability. So we could wait for SQL, but we decided to proceed with existing options to store our data in the Forge application. At this point, it was technically on the KVS storage, which is totally different from standard SQL. So we faced a lot of challenges while migrating all the data to this application. So yeah, it was really tricky. The starting point was just to organize all the data that we had in our database to store it much more efficient for key-value storage. In this case, we had checklist. We had checklist context items for each checklist item, and even linked items for linked checklists you could import to the existing one. So we had a lot of data spread in the database. So we decided to merge it into one record and store it all together because it would be much easier to do with key-value storage. But it brought us a lot of more interesting challenges instead. Because, for example, we had GKL search on Connect, but with key-value storage, it will become something tricky because key-value storage is not built for searching, but built for storing data. And yeah, technically, we find the solution, pretty elegant one, I hope. We already used entity properties for GKL search, but previously we used it for searching, for example, for used statuses in the checklist items, for dates used in the checklist, for mentioned users, for example. And we decided, why not? We could create another entity property which will have hashes for all our checklist items. So technically, having this hash, you could use GKL search and find issue where entity properties has this hashed value. But yeah, it's still not useful for users because they will not generate this hash and use it in GKL search. Then we added on top of this approach custom GQL functions that was already available on Forge. And voila, we have pretty useful GQL search. It's it works as it was on Connect, but will not use SQL database under the hood. And yeah.
Awesome. We can actually move on and talk more about our strategy for the data migration. And also here, our goal was to not interrupt the functionality of the add-on for our customers. Because as I've said, like customers that we have on Connect, they're already using our app, and they may not see like a lot of value, like whether they're on Connect or on Forge. It was more like the value for our potential customers. Yeah, no service interruption, no data egress. It was our strategy. As I guess like a lot of vendors aim to do the same.
Yeah, it was another one challenge for migrating because we knew that we want to achieve no data egress at the final point. But how could we move all the data that our customers have to the Forge application and disable all the incoming and outgoing data of the Forge application? Technically, at that point, there was approach with Forge Connect over Forge, when you could display your existing Connect application, but it would be wrapped into the Forge application. And in this case, you could slowly push all the data from Connect application into the Forge storage, but it's still considered as data egress. And then you need to do one more step with final migration from Connect over Forge to the native Forge, and then you finally could achieve this runs on Atlassian page. Because yeah. And we decided to proceed with different approach because we thought it could be a bit risky if our clients will update our application through two major versions, so they could skip this Connect over Forge version, and we just was afraid that someone could lose their data, and we decided to do a backup on each client's instance, and then when we install our Forge application, it could check this backup and restore all the data with minimum service unavailability. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, a good thing that Andrei mentioned with those version updates, because it's also another topic, like we wanted to avoid the major update of the application. All of the customers will just migrate to Forge with a minor version update. And it was actually also available. Not sure if a lot of vendors knows about it, but if you keep this parity of the permissions, you can just raise another ticket, like saying, hey, like on Forge, we are having, we perceive all of the permissions that we had in Connect app. So we do not elevate the permissions, and you can just do the minor update. The downside of that is actually that your customers will get the Forge application installed automatically, and most likely you will have some interruptions. So it would be a bit of unexpectedly. But yeah, the advantage of the benefit of this approach would be that you won't I don't want to say lose the customers, but you won't have this really long story that you have customers on Connect, you have customers on Forge, and you need to push those customers on Connect, have a lot of banners that Connect app will be deprecating. So this is also the possibility that you may target.
So yeah, and what could solve our problem? Because Forge application should not have data egress, so it could not receive data from outside. So we decided to proceed with our magic wand entity properties again, because Connect application could push all the entity properties, store the backup there, and our Forge application could check it out and restore all the data from the backup and start working. By the way, the tricky point with this approach was also that Connect application should update these backups to the last moment up until user installed the Forge application, so they will not lose any data. And yeah, we also splitted all the data for our backup into separate places to store, because we, of course, needed to store some global data like statuses, global templates, some application settings. We store it in our smart checklist user, application user, that was already created by by the system itself. So each our application on Atlassian already has its own user to make requests on behalf of the application, and we used this user as a target because we already knew the actual user that we had, and we could guarantee that someone who had this application will have this user available on their instance. And we put this global data there. We put some project-specific templates into the project entity properties. And of course, each checklist is technically bound to the issue, so it is stored in the issue entity properties. As by the way, we also stored there some metadata and, of course, updates of our smart checklist, because it's crucial sometimes to check who really updated this checklist, who checked this checklist, and proceed with flow, etc., etc. So we wanted to store as much data as it's possible.
Hey, Andre, I have a quick question for you to that point, which is how big can some of these backups be, right? Like if we're backing up so much data, how big did these things tend to get? And did you find that that was a hurdle as y'all went about using this strategy?
Of course, because when we decided to proceed with this approach, we analyzed our existing clients and saw that many of them would have backup with total size is more than 200 megabytes, and it's sounds a lot. But the most tricky point, that entity property, which we want to use to store our backup, could keep only up to 32 kilobytes. So with some specific symbols, we decided to round it down to 30 kilobytes to be safe, but And it was tricky, but we teached our Connect application to split all the data into these chunks, and our Forge application to be able to glue these chunks together and restore all the data. By the way, it was interesting that some of our clients even had single checklist just on one issue that will take more than 240 kilobytes, because it was one more painful point for us, because in Forge storage, it is also limitation. It's much easier to follow. It is only 240 kilobytes to store in one record, but some of our clients had checklists that are larger than that. So
Well,
And it was like only one checklist, like the smallest part of our application, like letting alone like all of the app configuration templates and other issues on the instance. Yeah, I see that you have pretty cool questions in chat. Maybe we can try to answer them.
Yeah, coming from Bruno here. So the first question actually is, how did you trigger the data migration? What about permissions to save the entity properties? For example, issues blocking for saving.
Yeah, we had this issue in some support requests because we didn't thought about this issue. And yeah, it was rarely, but yeah, in some cases, our customers just archived their projects, and our Connect application could not create backups for these projects because in our, at least at that configuration, for them, application just cannot update the entity properties. And yeah, this we solved with manual export and import of data. Sadly, but sometimes you cannot do everything automatically.
Thanks, Andre.
We actually had those support requests, but yeah, we were like we just try to show for the customers that we're like really transparent about that. So yes, we migrated to Forge. Yes, maybe we didn't cover like everything. Like all of the application is still working, but if you just have any issues, just reach out to our support. We were suggesting the quick calls for customers to faster resolve the issue. And yeah, for most cases, it was like, oh, it was just the issue that was archived. So that's why the customer sees the error. Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Alexandra. And another question coming from Bruno as well. Did you consider using Forge Remote to read the data and save into the Forge storage?
Yes, of course, we considered this approach, but in this case, we would have this intermediate version with Forge, which has data egress in it, and at that point, it meant to have two major versions update. So if someone will skip this version, which could pick the data from our Connect application, they could lose their data. And us also, we estimated that with this approach, we will spend a lot of more time to implement this than having this one-time trigger to install Forge application and cross your fingers.
Awesome. Thanks, Andre. Thanks, Bruno, for those great questions. And yeah, Alexandra, you want to add on?
Yeah. Like I see that one question that we didn't ask for, like how did we trigger the data migration? Andre, maybe we can answer.
Oh no, that was the first question we answered.
Yeah, like we answered about the permissions, but not about how to trigger the data migration. So we skipped it.
Yeah. Let's go back to that. So how did you trigger the data migration?
Yeah. Technically, Connect application just started after our internal release. Connect application just started backing up the data to the entity properties. And we just checking it out if the process is finished, because we also waited this backup to be totally complete. Then when we saw that our background workers finally finalized, we was ready to allow our Forge application to be installed on those instances. For what about Forge application? It receives, upon installation, it receives event from the platform that application was installed, and then we could check our application user to see if there is any data backed up. So yeah, if we see there is no such user on the instance, or there is no backup, it means that it is clean installation. But if there are there is some data back it up, we just start importing it. Yep. Hopefully I explained it.
Yeah.
I think you
That
explained
was
it
fun.
well. Yeah, you explained it really well. Thanks, Andre. All right, if you guys want to keep going, thanks for pausing.
Yeah. So there is also the timeline of how long it took us to migrate to Forge. So the first iteration was actually to figuring out the strategy and implementing everything. We had a team of 4 or 5 engineers back then. So basically, it took us 3.5 months to totally migrate the app to Forge, meaning like we implemented all of the features that we had on Connect, and also we were implementing those backup to Connect, and then unpacking all of the data on Forge. But then, like the most, like the biggest part was actually the staged customers migration, because first we decided to enable the add-on, the Forge version for our pro customers. Then we decided to migrate all of our free customers. We did the staged migration, which means that we were always in contact with Atlassian support, and we were just breaking down our customers, like instances that we want to migrate to some batches, and we did it like with batches. And actually, the good thing that we did, like firstly, we migrated our own instance. We saw some bugs, we fixed them, and only then we proceeded with customers. It was also funny. So like since then that we decided to migrate our own instance first. So yeah, another big part is actually how to communicate with customers about the Forge migration. Actually, I see that, like, I love that back then we used pretty simple solutions, and right now vendors are becoming more creative, like how they can warn their users that they're migrating to Forge. So our approach here was pretty simple. So we did the email campaign to building technical contact within the license, which is not perfect because it's not always the Jira admin, but still, like, we use this card. We had the documentation, which was describing like why we migrated to Forge, what are the benefits of it, maybe some post-migration actions that were required, because some of our features needed to be reconfigured, unfortunately. But the coolest thing that we did, we actually did the in-app communication. When the Forge app was installed, there was a background job to migrate all of the data from Connect to Forge. It took a while, but what we did, like at first, we were trying to migrate the data that would unblock the core functionality of the app, which means like working with the checklist on the issue view is the most crucial for us. So first, we migrate and unpack all of the data that will unblock this feature to work. So which is like checklist item, statuses maybe. Then, for example, we will migrate the checklist template. After they're migrated, we will unblock this functionality. And like as the last thing, maybe some app configuration, which is not like commonly used or not the popular feature among the customers. So that was like the last thing to migrate. But yeah, actually, to add up here, what I see is that right now vendors are doing, and we also did it to our other apps that we had on Connect, and we migrated to Forge. We actually started the communication prior to migration. So we did like the banners on the Connect app that, hey, like we will be moving to Forge. Like the Connect app will be deprecated eventually. I see that also vendors right now are doing some like announcements, release notes that we will move to Forge. Like we are aiming to be runs on Atlassian. So please be patient, because it took like a lot of energy for us to do this. But in exchange, like you will have like more modern and secure app. But please be patient about this, because not everything like will go smoothly. So yeah, you can do the same here.
To this point, there's a question that's come in on chat around events that Forge has, and Andrea's asked this, so I'll bring it up on screen, which says, Forge has an installed and upgraded event, but it missed the uninstalled event when compared with Connect. How did y'all handle that?
Yeah, Forge is kind of simpler in this case because all the data is handled by Atlassian itself. So for Forge, it makes no sense to have this uninstalled event. If, of course, if you stores data on the Atlassian itself. So if you have data egress, yeah, it could be tricky, but without data egress, the event for uninstall makes no sense because when you when user uninstalls your application, technically nothing could receive this event. So yeah. So
Hopefully, oh, what?
yeah, so yeah, for Forge it makes no sense to have this event.
I remember that we use this uninstall event on Connect to because like we had this data retention in our privacy policy that we clean up all of the data after 90 days after uninstall. But yeah, like it's Forge, it was pretty simpler for us because all of the data stays within the Atlassian, so customer doesn't need to worry about like some data egress and we are taking the data and processing it.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And it's part of why I thought it was a good question for now, especially as we talk about communicating with customers around the migrations happening, what's coming with the migration, what you can expect. I think this is absolutely the right type of question. So thank you, Andrea, for asking it.
Cool. I guess like we're having the final slide sharing what we do differently. Andre, I will pass the mic again to you.
Yeah, I think the bug that we caught when we started our migration, we started from our fork instance with real data of our colleagues. So yeah, we hit rate limits, complexity limits for background jobs. Yeah, at that point, background jobs allow it to be run for more than 1 minute. Like before, it allowed us to run up to 15 minutes, but we pushed too much jobs into the background while we restoring all the data during these 15 minutes. So the system just stuck and it couldn't proceed after these 15 minutes. Thankfully, we have something like zombie mode that will check each hour if the migration was finished, and if it wasn't, it will try to proceed this migration again. So technically, we just slowed down our migration for our instance in 4 times, but it could lead us to completely stuck migration with data loss, etc., etc. So yeah, the main don't is to do not push too much background jobs in one time, and please check in small batches on the real data, and please try to migrate small batches of customers, because in this case you could handle all the support requests, hopefully.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So our closing point would be that we're really passionate about sharing our knowledge. So if you feel like you need a bit of a help to migrate to Forge, like Titan Apps are part of Railsware, so Railsware is pretty like it's a bigger software consultancy company. So we can help you with that. There is like a QR code here, which you can scan and fill out the form. And we also have like bigger story of how we migrated with more examples of the entity properties and everything. So you can also scan it and read about our story. And that would be all from our side. We will be really happy to answer more questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll
If
let
you
Danielle take it from there.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, if you guys have more questions in the chat, feel free to type them in there, some final thoughts and questions, and we'll address them. I just want to say this is an amazing story. I do have one question myself, actually, for you, Alexandra and Andre. And I made this comment at Team Barcelona when I saw Alexandra, which is that she was still smiling at the end of this. She was still very bubbly, just smiling. So
I tried my
overall,
best.
how was the migration overall? Is there any like final thoughts that you want to give on the entire migration? What are like your parting thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about this today because I thought that
Yeah.
someone should ask this question, you know? And, like, despite the fact that the challenges make us stronger, like, I wouldn't like to go over this migration one more time because back then it was pretty nervous for us because it was something new. And I'm really glad to see that now, like, vendors actually start to share this knowledge with each other, which makes them feel like much more confident about the migration. That's actually why we came here, because we know how nervous and tricky it can be. So yeah, we got stronger, but I wouldn't repeat it.
Anything for you, Andre? Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, it was interesting process.
Yeah, it actually helped us to point out like who is the most creative like engineers within the teams, because like migrating from Connect to Forge was like it really required some of the creativity both from the product side, from the developer side. So yes, it was pretty interesting as Andre said. But we also like had the capabilities to involve those creative engineers because like we had resources not just within the Titaness but overall in the organization. So, yeah. Also, the tricky part was actually to negotiate with developers that we need to do that because like some of them were like, oh, really? Like everything was fine. Like we were just doing our features that customers requested us, and now like we need to think of the migration. So yes, some of the developers were not happy about this idea, but actually right now they say that it's pretty like it's much easier to start off with Forge, like to build a new app. Like we see that new features that we are releasing, they're coming faster to the users than it was in Connect. So eventually, like we're happy that that we proceed this way.
Awesome.
Interesting question from Bruno.
Oh yeah. We do have a question here from Bruno, which is, without considering the data migration, how much code in percent do you estimate you need to rewrite?
Yeah, our backend was in Ruby on Rails, so it's Ruby. And Forge at this point has only Node.js. So technically, we needed to rewrite all our backend. And before that, we already were in process of refactoring and rewriting our front end to organize it and prepare for new features. And we used this work and rewrite our backend as it was written for SQL database on Ruby. It was unused. It was totally useless for our Forge application, but for some places we used AI to help us. For example, with chunks that we needed to store, we needed to split our backup data into chunks to store it into the entity properties and then connect them back. We just used AI to help us to adapt from a Ruby version to the Node.js version. So we tried to reduce efforts as much as possible to do it in time. So yeah, technically we rewrite around 30 to 50% of our code base.
Great question.
Like we had the opportunity, like when we were writing our other app, like we figured out that like It was first built on Connect. It didn't allow for us to scale a bit, so it was like a bit of a mistake when we were planning like how we're going to organize the data and structure everything on Connect. So actually, we were a bit like we wanted to migrate to Forge like because so many use it. This is another like opportunity for us to stay fresh. Not sure if a lot of vendors like do such mistakes, but we did it previously, so that's why we appreciated that we rewrote the app.
Yeah, it brought to mind a point that you'd raised earlier, and Alexi somewhat asked a similar question. Like I heard you earlier say your timeline was like 3.5 months, right? And then after that, there was the how do we actually roll this out for customers? And Alexi asked a similar question around like, hey, how exactly did you manage to upgrade customers in batches? Because that like you had 3.5 months for development, then we have a bunch of time to make sure that customers are properly supported. How exactly did y'all go about that?
So what we did, like we actually took all of our customers. We started with the smaller ones to migrate, like because we had the statistics like what is the tier of the customers, and for example, how many data they have. So that's basically how long like the process of migrating to Forge will take for them. We broke down like those customer to batches. And I'm actually trying to find the link. There was somewhere the documentation how to do that. So what you do basically, you just trace the support ticket within the Atlassian. Not sure if it's like the specific request type. I'll try to find the link to the documentation after I'll answer. And you're just saying like you were given like those either the license ID or like the URL base URL, and you're just saying like, hey, we need to migrate like this page. Then they will migrate. Like we're waiting a bit, like monitoring our support that everything went smoothly. Like when we think that like we just wait a bit, like everything is okay. Okay, like we're moving to the next page. I'm not sure like how big those pages were, like, but it took us a while, as you can see.
Yeah. The first batch was only our work instance and test instances of our QAs. So technically, it was a weekly routine to check if there are new support cases, decide if we could proceed with new customers, etc., etc. But yeah, it was interesting.
And there's always things you learn in this journey along the way, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, with that, I do want to say a big thank you to you both for joining us today. This is a story that I think Danielle mentioned it earlier. It's super important to share. It's really impactful to share it, right? So that if others are going through the same journey, they can learn from your experience. And so thank you for sharing it as well. For folks who are watching, feel free to visit the QR codes, both to read more about the story that Titan Apps has gone on to, or the journey that Titan Apps has gone on to migrate from Connect to Forge, as well as to learn more around building on Forge with Railsware, the larger company.
Yeah, there's some more technical details in the blog as well. So if you actually want to get into the behind the scenes infrastructure a little bit deeper, they've explained it perfectly well inside the blog. So you can have some fun nerding out on the blog.
Cool. And now with that, Danielle, I did have a couple of things I wanted to remind folks about before we signed off, because I know we're like right at time. So Alexandra, Andre, I'm going to pull you off screen for 2 seconds. And then I'm going to try to share my screen because we have a lot going on all things Atlassian at the moment. And so let me share a window with you all just to like kick this off. 1 sec. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have a lot going on, as I just mentioned. One is we've already started planning all things Atlas Camp for Amsterdam next February. And folks may not realize this, but they can apply to speak up until this Friday. Literally, that is the deadline. So I'm going to drop the link here just in chat for folks if they're interested to apply to speak, to share more around their story of building with Atlassian's platform. You're more than welcome to come on and join us.
Yep, and I'm excited. It'll be my first Atlas camp, and yours too.
Yeah, I keep hearing a bunch of fun stories internally. I sat in a planning meeting yesterday. I have another one coming up today. I think, Danielle, you're in some of the same meetings I'm in. Like, there's a lot of momentum inside the company to make sure this is a fantastic experience for our visitors. So I'm looking forward to seeing what stories we can tell there.
Yep.
Next up, we have a fantastic hackathon happening right now. It's literally just started on Monday. I don't know how many folks who are watching have heard about it, but we're doing an amazing hackathon called Codegeist 2025 Atlassian Williams Racing Edition. That was a mouthful. But as you can see, folks are being invited to just be given the opportunity to build on Forge, to build extensibility into the different Atlassian apps that they may be using on a regular basis, whether that's Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, or some more. And this year, we're giving away up to $120,000 US dollars in prizes, which I think is amazing. Like, shout out to the company for making this happen.
Yeah, it's big money, big money. I don't know if you watch Wheel of Fortune, but big money is being given away for this hackathon. So definitely I'm excited to see all the Forge apps, all the creativity that's going to be built. It's my first time participating in Codegeist, so super excited.
Yeah, and I know that a number of folks, like, I saw some of last year's content just to help me learn about Codegeist. And folks do some amazing things. I'm very impressed by the various things that developers come up with. But we are developers. This is what we do. We're a creative bunch,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And then two more quick things. I promise you, I swear I'm done after this. And they're both very similar, but related, which is Atlassian's Developer Day. We have 2 Developer Days coming up in the rest of this calendar year. The first one is happening in Bellevue, Washington. So for those who are joining us from the United States, or will have the opportunity to be in the United States, on November 13th, we will be hosting Developer Day in Bellevue. I'm excited. I won't be there. Danielle, I heard a rumor that you're going to be there.
I will.
Oh,
but I have it easy this time. I'll be helping in the room, but I have it easy. No keynote this time.
Yeah, I saw Danielle give the keynote at the Developer Day in Texas. I think that was last month. God, it feels like time is flying. And you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
It was a really well done event. I promise you, if you missed it, you do not want to miss out on these additional opportunities, because this is one of them. Again, November 13th. But then there's a second one in Berlin, December 9th. So we had some folks joining from Germany. You all are very, very, very welcome to attend and find us in person at Dev Day Berlin.
Yep.
Now, I'm just dropping the link here too in chat in case folks want to go visit the site and learn more about what's happening at the event.
Yep, I'm excited. These will actually be our last 2 Dev Days of this calendar year. So definitely, if you are in one of the areas, I even heard that Amsterdam is just a hop and a skip from Berlin. So if you're anywhere in the area that you can get to one of these Developer Day events, come join us, have some fun. You'll learn a lot about not just Forge, but also Rovo. But more importantly, we are getting you hands-on. So it's not just presentation, you're actually building at Dev Day.
Yeah, and I've always been impressed by folks who commit to the workshops that we've delivered. We were at the one that I was at in Texas. We had folks who, literally pulled out external keyboards and mice and built with us. And as they navigated different things, we continued to support them, and they'd ask questions around what's possible and how I could do certain things or build with certain parts of the frame of the platform. It's just really, really, really cool. So all great opportunities to both find us in person as well as participate in telling the Forge story, which I think is amazing. Okay, I'm done. I swear I'm done. I'm going to stop sharing now.
All right. Well, I learned a lot today. especially about entity properties and how they can be used in lieu of Forge SQL. Did you learn anything today, Corey?
I learned a ton. And the thing that continues to sit with me is how easy it is to get started and how quick it is to build on the Forge platform. There's a lot now that, because you're building on Atlassian, really, it makes it a lot easier and simpler in some cases. So I'm excited, and being new to the team, I'm actually more motivated to go build with Forge.
Ooh, I can't wait to see what you build.
Well, with that, thank you all for joining us today. We'll be back. Make sure you follow the YouTube channel. We'll be back with more of these types of sessions for you to learn with us and from us on your Forge journey.
All right. Can't wait to see you all again soon, Atlassian developers. Thank you
Thanks
again,
again.
Alexandra, Andre. Great having you on stream. Did a great job.
And with that, we'll see you all soon. Bye, friends.
Bye.